Hey guys, it's Nate here, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go ahead and deploy a Mongo database server to our AWS VPC. And the reason for doing so is because we've got an application that we want to deploy, and we need a live database instance to run queries against. And so to do that, we're going to launch a new instance into our EC2 cluster. Now, before we go ahead, guys, I want to make sure that you guys have already set up an AWS account. So if you haven't done that, now would be a good time to pause the video and take care of that. All right, so getting right into it. This should be a pretty short video, as it's not super hard to set up a Mongo server in an AWS. I'm going to switch to the desktop view now. All right, so I'm in my AWS account where I've already got a VPC. And if you haven't already done this, you're going to have to go ahead and create a VPC with a subnet. So you're going to see a VPC here, and we've got a subnet here. And I think it comes with a default subnet. Anyways, we're actually going to create a new subnet within this VPC. And we need to take a look. We're going to need to give it a, let's see. We're going to create a new subnet here. And it's going to be called college database, private database. Because we're going to lock this server down so that it's secure, because we don't want people to be able to access this database from outside of our subnet. We only want our application to access the database. So we're going to give it a CIDR block here of, I'm just looking at these CIDR blocks here to make sure I'm not going to have any collisions. And look, there already is a 10.0.4.0/24. And I do want that to be 24. So I guess we're going to change this to 5/24, and that means that our instance will probably have an IP address of something like this. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and press yes create on this subnet. Now that our subnet's created, we're going to go head over to the EC2 tab. If you don't have that, you can go over here to AWS and search EC2 and press enter. It'll bring you right up to this dashboard. There's this blue launch instance button here that we're going to go ahead and click. And we're going to select the first AMI type here available to us. And we're using the Amazon Linux AMI because it has some bonus features. It's got some really nice features as far as, well, my favorite personally is that you can monitor the memory on the instance really easily if it's Amazon Linux AMI. So we're going to go ahead and click next. We've chosen our API, our AMI. I'm going to go ahead and use this T2 micro. If you guys have more advanced needs, you might want to use a bigger instance. Since this is like just for testing purposes, I'm going to go with the free tier and use T2 micro. We're going to go ahead, click through to next, configure instance details. So we've only got that one VPC, and we're going to add this to our new subnet that we've just created, the college private DB subnet here. We only need one instance, yeah. Auto assign a public IP address. We don't actually need a public IP address because it's only going to be accessible from servers in our VPC. We're not going to connect locally, I don't think. IAM role, we don't need to give it any IAM role. All the other settings here look fine by default, so we are going to go ahead and skip ahead to the configure security group tab here. Now the only thing that we need to allow is I'm going to allow Mongo's default, I'm going to allow connecting to Mongo from our VPC. And our VPC has the CIDR block of this, I believe. Let's just go and confirm that. So I'm going to click and open up a new AWS tab and navigate to VPC. So I want to make sure that any instance in the VPC can connect to Mongo running on this server. Yeah, so our VPC CIDR block is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that into here. And the port range for that. So we're going to allow SSH, and we're also going to allow Mongo, which is running by default on 27. Let's see here. I think it's 27017. Let's see. Let's just Google real quick. Mongo default port. It's 27017. Yeah. So we're back in our security config, and we're going to give this security group a name, and we're going to call it college Mongo. And allows SSH and Mongo access from within the VPC. So we're not going to be able to, well, let's give it SSH access from anywhere, actually. You know what? Because we're going to require a private or a public key to connect, so that should be fine. We'll call it SSH, call it Mongo, and yeah, this gets this is going to use our VPC CIDR block. So only instances in the VPC can connect to Mongo, but any instance anywhere could connect to port 22 to SSH. So then we're going to go ahead and review. Just take a look real quick here. So it looks like you can SSH on IPv6 or IPv4, which is good, and then also you can connect to MongoDB. So let's go ahead and click launch here. I'm going to use this existing key pair that I have. You guys might need to create a new, a new SSH key here. So keep that in mind. I've already got one set up, and I've got this SSH key locally so that I can connect. You might have to, if you're going to create a new one, you're going to have to download that that key and use that. And I'll show you guys how to use that in the SSH command in a second here. So now we're going to click Launch Instances, and I'm going to navigate back to EC2. Okay, just wanted to make sure we were still streaming here. So I'm going to click on Running Instances here, and we can see that this new instance is coming up. I'm going to go ahead and give it a name. I'm going to call it College Mongo, because this is our college app that we're deploying. I'll show you guys now, since we've got some downtime while this is initializing, what the app looks like real quick. It's just a simple like browser of course prerequisites. So you come in here, and you can see, like, this is for Finance 480. You can see all the professors that teach that class and see descriptions, and this is all at UNLV. So I could go and type, for example, English 102, and it's going to pull up some professors teaching English 102. I can see, oh, there's 220 professors, which is pretty crazy. See some reviews. I can filter by certain professors if I just want to see those. And this is all backed on Mongo right now, which may change in the future. But for now, it's working pretty well, and I like it. Mongo's pretty fun to write applications on, I guess, once you have a little understanding of the design patterns around building good apps on Mongo. And right now, I've got a local Mongo instance powering this app. You can see it's running on localhost. It's also pointing to a Mongo instance on localhost. What we're going to do in this video is install Mongo on the server that's initializing right now and point our application to that server instead. And then, well, we're going to deploy an instance and point it at that server. That server is not actually going to be accessible to our IP address here, because of our security group config there. So let's see, is it still initializing? It is. And you know what? I think while we're testing things, I think I am actually going to open up. I'm going to go to security groups here, and this would not be a production. Would not be okay in production. And I'm going to change this during the course of this video, but for now, I think we might as well open this up, open Mongo up when this is installed to the wide world, so we can just put our data on there. It's going to make things a little bit easier. So I'm going to go ahead and go to VPC here. And go to security groups here, and this is how you would configure this. I'm going to search for college Mongo, there it is, and I'm going to open up port 2707, and I'm gonna tag it as delete me so that I remember to delete that. But port 27017 is going to be open to anybody now, which is dangerous because you don't want people to be able to access your Mongo instance. So don't. So make sure to delete this before you finish deploying your Mongo instance. But this is going to let us access Mongo from our machine here. Let's go back to EC2 here and see if our instance is running, and it is. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to go ahead and assign this a public IP address. And to do that, I go over here to Elastic IPs. I've got one here not doing anything. I'm actually going to delete that, it looks like, since we're not using it. But for this tutorial, I'm going to allocate a new address. And all we need to do is click into here and click allocate. Now we've got this IP address here. And we can associate it to our instance. If we go back to the EC2 tab, go to running instances, we click on our college Mongo here and go to networking, manage IP addresses, and we're going to assign it a new IP address, I think, to our assign a new, oh no, auto assign public IP. Maybe not. Maybe we need to go back to our Elastic IPs folder over here and right-click. Yeah, we right-click on our newly created Elastic IP and associate that address with our instance through this interface here. There we go. So now it's going to forward that public IP address to this private IP address. Yeah. There we go. So now we've got this public IP address. So we're going to go to that EC2 tab. Whoops, not that. Click on instances. Open up the detail panel of our college Mongo instance. And we've got this new public IP address here that we should be able to connect using. So I'm going to go ahead and this is just the home folder on my local machine here on the left. And I'm going to go ahead and type SSH and I'm going to specify my SSH key here. It needs to be the SSH key that we either created or designated when creating the EC2 instance, so don't forget that. And then I believe the user is going to be EC2 user @ and then we're going to paste, oops, we need to paste our public IP address that we just created and assigned to this EC2 instance. Oops. So It's going to ask us if that's the right fingerprint, and we are into our new instance. So I need to, let's see, do we have yum? I'm trying to remember what package installer we have on Amazon AWS, and it's yum. So I'm going to just try and type yum install Mongo and see what happens. So we need to run that as sudo, and now it's going to go ahead and maybe it's MongoDB actually. Sudo yum install MongoDB. I'm going to Google real quick yum install Mongo. And I'm clicking on the first link here, and it's taking me to the MongoDB documentation. Okay, so to install all the Mongo tools that we need, we're going to go ahead and install this package, mongodb-org. So we're going to go sudo yum install mongodb-org, and that's going to give us, did I get that right? Huh. We're slightly off here, so I'm going to go ahead. Looks like we need to add this repo or something. So yum needs to know where to find this Mongo package, so I'm going to go ahead and create this file using Pico. It's available. We don't have Pico, so maybe VI. Going to go ahead and copy all of these, all this that Mongo recommends writing to that file. I'm going to write and quit. I needed to run that as sudo maybe. Unfortunately, we need to quit out and we need to rerun that vi command as sudo. And then we can go ahead and click and quit out of that. So then step 2, now we can install the MongoDB org potentially. It says not found though. I don't know if we need to run update or something along those lines. Yum updates. Trying other mirror. Let's try something simple like yum install telnet or let's look up Amazon Linux installing packages. Or let's even go more specific, installing MongoDB. Yeah, it's the same deal. Use the following repository file, vi mongo org. Yep. So that all looks good. This really should work. It's not going to, maybe, but one of the configured repositories failed, and Yum doesn't have enough cache data to continue. At this point, the only safe thing Yum can do is fail. A few ways to fix this. Contact the upstream for repository and get them to fix the problem. Reconfigure the base URL, etc. for the repository. Disable the repository so Yum won't use it by default. Configure the failing repo. And it's saying that it can't find that. So I'm going to copy this URL and see if it, yeah, it definitely doesn't exist. What if, so it cannot find this file for whatever reason. That one does though, so let's see. Yeah, it looks like that file just doesn't exist or something. So we'll just go ahead and there's our repo md.xml there, which is weird. So it says it's looking for repo md.xml in this repo data directory, which seems to be right. I think maybe we should go ahead and reconfigure our base URL here. So I'm going to open up that file that we made and see how this base URL starts with this prefix. We need to go and compare this string here. It says I can't find this file. What's the difference? Instead of using latest, we're using a specific prefix here. So I think we just need this prefix here, this URL. Let's go ahead and edit that file. And we're going to replace that base URL. And you might not have to do this step. I'm sorry for putting you guys through this, but we do. And it looks like that worked. Yeah, for some reason, whatever the latest just wasn't there. So that latest version. So hopefully that actually, maybe that'll help some people out that are experiencing this issue. But that's installing. It looks like Mongo is now installed. And to run Mongo on this server, let's go back to our installation instructions here. It says install, and then to run it, Mongo's running here. All we have to do to start it, I guess, is sudo service MongoD start. So I'm going to paste that command in here. If you can see, sudo service MongoD start. I'm going to go ahead and click enter. And to test if it's running, well, actually, we don't even need to do that. We can just type Mongo here, and we've connected to a database. So we've got Mongo installed, guys. That's awesome. Let's make sure we can, or now I guess we need to just migrate some data over to this instance. And then we'll test using that database with our local app here. And then we're going to lock down the security group so that nobody can break in. Okay, so to migrate the data, we're going to need to run, I think, Mongo export, migrate database Mongo to another. How to backup, restore, migrate MongoDB database. I think, oh yeah, we're going to need to run this Mongo dump. So I'm going to copy this command, and I'll show you guys it so you don't have to go hunt it down. I'm going back to my local machine here. I'll actually pull it up in a, whoops, messed that up, didn't I? I'm going to open up another panel down here, and this is on my local machine again. And I've got this database called Udemia here. So I'm going to go ahead and run Mongo dump db Udemia and see what happens here. I think, oh, we need to specify a file, unless, over there. Whoops. I'm going to look up that command really quick and kill it because I messed up. I need to specify an out file. So MongoDB, or Mongo dump database Udemia out, and we just give it a file, udemia.db. And now we've got this file here called udemia.db, and that's got everything on it. So we need to go ahead and copy that file to our new instance, I think. Or, I guess we can do this, I guess it's even easier. We just need to, let's see here, run this Mongo restore perhaps. Let's see if we have Mongo restore on our new server. We do. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to copy this file up to our new server actually. So I'm going to go ahead and type SSH. I'm going to, reverse lookup for that last command. And it looks like, I think, I want to make sure that we're pointing at this new public IP address. Yep, and it ends with 178, so does this one. So we're going to adjust this so that instead of running SSH, we're going to run SCP. And we're still going to use this key here. And our local file is called udemia.db. And we're going to just push that up to the root directory of our new server. It says it's not a regular file though, so I think we're going to specify the R flag for recursive. Yeah, so that way it uploads at each and every file of that dump. And if we go back to our server here, we should be able to ls and we see our file here. So that's cool. Now we're going to go ahead and type Mongo restore. And let's take a look at these docs again that we were looking at. So it says DB, new DB. In our case, it's going to be DB Udemia. And it looks like, what is drop here? Make sure the argument database is first dropped so the backup is restored in a clean database. We don't need to do that. So we're going to do Mongo restore db udemia and then this file here, udemia.db, or which is directory, I guess. And we'll see. Debian collection argument should only be used when restoring from a bson file. Let's see here. Maybe we don't need to do that. Mongo restore udemia. So let's try and connect then. We're still on our remote server, Mongo Udemia. And it looks like our collections are all there, and we should be able to even do count here, and we can see our professors in there. So that's cool. It looks like we've done it. We successfully moved our data or copied our data to this new server. So the next thing I want to do before we close off our config to the outside world is I want to lock down, or I want to point to this new database here. So I'm going to go ahead and go into like some repos in here. I've got this professor repo. Let's see, Mongo. So let's see. You know, I don't even need to do this for the purposes of this tutorial. All our data is on there, and to test that from our local machine, I'm going to connect to that instance really quick from our from my computer. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look at the help for Mongo really quick because we want to change the host. Yeah, there we go. So the host option is going to let us specify where we want to connect. And I'm just going to go ahead and type Mongo host Udemia, and I'm going to put our newly created EC2 instance's IP address right there. How do we... Couldn't connect to server on port 27017. Let's see, how is this supposed to look? Maybe it's supposed to be something like that. I'm trying to remember the way to connect to Mongo remotely. Let's just see, CLI connect remote Mongo. How to connect to your remote DB server. I guess that's how you do it. don't know why we have I'm not sure why we can't connect to this exactly. /test failed to connect to. We have this IP address here. Well, we just moved our data to it, so for whatever reason, I think that port's still not open to the outside world. So let's go look at the security group config again. It's saying it cannot connect to this port here, 27017. Which is right here. Should be open though, I think. Yeah, so I'm not sure why we're not able to connect to it from our local machine right now. Connection refused. Cannot connect to. Cannot. So I'm going to look up really quick. Cannot connect to remote Mongo instance. It says connection refused. It might be that we've got some other config. Let's go take a look. So we've got this config here. It says we should be able to access 27017 from any IP address. Let's take a look at our subnet really quick and our VPC to make sure we're allowing those addresses. I could also maybe open up IPv6, which I don't think we have. Let's see what we've got here on our subnet. MMM, so it's this one right here. Our route table says allow anything in here. And we were able to SSH to it, so you'd think that would be fine. Let's go to our security group again. And just, let's see. See, we're allowing SSH on IPv6. I wonder if we have to do that for Mongo as well. I'm going to go ahead and do this rule here. So now we've got IPv4 and IPv6. And we need to remember to delete those. And then we'll just go ahead and save that. Couldn't connect. It says connection attempt failed. For whatever reason. So I'm going to go back to our search here. It says connection attempt failed. Maybe we'll run nmap if we have nmap here. So oh, look at this. We need to change something, I think. We need to find our Mongo configuration and open it up to the world. I forgot that you had to do that. So we're going to go back into that newly created instance, and I'm just looking up that SSH command that I have in my bash history. Let's look at that process running. Grep for Mongo. So our configuration file is here. So I'm going to go ahead and sudo. Oh, we don't have Pico on here, so we're going to use vi. And we're going to search for bind. Yeah, see, so it's bound to only local interfaces. We need to bind this to 0.0.0.0, which means it's going to allow the wide world to access this, I believe. So then we're going to write and quit, and we need to restart our service here. So we're going to do what are we running here? Service MongoDB restart, I think. Maybe service Mongo restart. What did we do before here? Sudo service MongoD restart. And it says it failed. Right. What if we just type start? What do we do? I think we broke the configuration. Oh, I think we broke, if you look down here, I think we broke the indentation of the YAML here. Yeah. I'll right click again. And there we go. Now it started. And I want to see that we can connect to that Mongo instance. And it looks like we can. Down in our on our computer, we can connect to the local instance. And let's see. We have data, so that's excellent. I'm going to go ahead now, and because I'm using this Mongo instance only from servers in my VPC, I am going to go ahead and lock this down so that people on the World Wide Web cannot access this server. So I'm just going to go real quick and delete these ones that I marked as delete me. We're still going to be able to access Mongo from that VPC or from that subnet, or actually no, anywhere within that VPC. So that's fine. And then I'm going to click save, and we should see that we can no longer connect to Mongo from our local machine. It's going to say, yeah, I guess it just hangs because we failed to connect because we closed that off to the world. So now we've got a secure Mongo server running in Amazon EC2, accessible to servers on our VPC. It's going to be really cheap, if not free, because it's on the free tier. And it's secure because only instances on our VPC can access it. And it's important to make sure all your other instances are secure as well, so that nobody else, or so that people can't hop from one of your servers into this Mongo database. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. As always, if you guys did, please click subscribe to support the channel. Otherwise, it'd be great if you guys left feedback. Feedback's always appreciated. On another note, I'm always looking for user requests. So if anybody has a request on a video they want to see, I know a lot of technologies, and I'd love to share some knowledge with you guys if you guys have a specific topic you want to go over. If you have like coursework or something like that, I'd love to go over that. If you guys want to see an open source project reviewed or contributed to, we could do that. So thanks again for watching, guys. I hope this tutorial was useful for you. Until next time, have a nice day.